Welcome to Family Awareness Talk Show. Getting married is something very important in human's life. So the most important step you have to make in your life is getting married. With marriage and love, human race can carry on. But in order to build up a good family, there are many steps that we should follow before we make the decision of getting married. And then later on, have children. In this episode, we'll have with us Dr. Patrizia Hongisto from Helsinki in Finland. We also have from inside the studio in Beirut, Dr. Abdelhalim Shhadi, psychotherapist. Welcome, Dr. Patrizia Hongisto from Finland. Dr. Patrizia, you have lived in different countries in Europe, United States, and recently in Lebanon as Dean of the Business College at MEU. Dr. Patrizia, what are the common things that you have discovered during the time you were in the Middle East, especially in Lebanon, when couples decide to get married?
Well, the common things is probably that they would like to have each other's company, and that they cannot imagine, spending the rest of their lives and years ahead without being in touch and spending time together and sharing adventures and doing sharing life together. So those were common things, and I could see it in the way when I was in the Middle East, in the way the students got to know each other and how they shared their daily life, because we had a dormitory and they would spend more time together. They would sit close in the cafeteria, and they would, of course, they would have friends around, but you could see that they preferred the company of each other, and sometimes they went for walks, and we saw them around campus, and we shared thoughts, and that was very nice to see how two lives felt more complete when they were together. So that's common in the way young people sort of merge in every country.
Dr. Patrizia, have you ever spent times with couples who weren't aware enough what the family life about, especially in the Middle East?
Family life, of course, is it's shaped in many different ways, and sometimes in the Middle East, I of course noticed that the roles were more determined between the mother and the father, or the husband and the wife. I don't know if I have spent time with people who, because most people I tried to absorb the way they spent their life together and the way they conducted their family life. So, and I usually am open to see when people have set up their own nest, how they want to have it. So I try to adapt to the way a couple behaves together. And that is the same with when you meet families in any country. You enter like a small kingdom, and there is certain dynamics there that rule, and it's that's the interesting part, to sort of interact with that, I think.
Dr. Patrizia, I know from your side now that you have a child. So congratulations, and wish that child will have a happy life and you guys enjoy the time with the newborn baby. I know that you are experiencing now God's gift. Some couples don't know that having a child is a gift from God. I want to give the viewers some guidelines about giving the child a healthy life and a healthy environment.
Yes, I in fact, quite by chance, just the other day, I listened to some interviews to young people, and they were asked why they would want to have children and why they would not want to have children. And there are, in fact, some couples that don't feel it's a gift. And maybe the way they expressed it was the child should add value to our life, or the child should add value to our relationship. And if the child doesn't add value, why should I have children? So it sounded like they were measuring having a child really like with a monetary criteria, adding value in like in a business transaction. So that's maybe where it comes out, at least in the part of the world where I am, where people evaluate the value, and basically a life has a huge value, and it's a privilege to be able to guide a new life into this world. So for me, this shows when a young couple still is evaluating, will it bring me value, and will we as a couple have more value with the child, then it's not time yet, and it's maybe it will be time later, but at that point it's still the time to get some life experience and see what one's expectations are about life. And of course, once the child arrives into the world, it's a beautiful, joyful moment, and it's in my experience, in the very immediate moment when a child arrives, you feel the value. You feel this is a new life. It's in your hands, and you want to show care and accompany that new life into the world, and knowing that there will be many challenges. I think many people are aware that it's not always a smooth path, and it's not always an easy task, but it's a task where one can show care, one can show concern, one can show one can share one's gifts in the most selfless way, and that's of course what we compare very much with God's love to the human beings, where there is no price high enough that you would pay to make that life worthwhile.
You know, I always remember when Jesus said, if we do not become like children again, we cannot enter the kingdom of God. So the question is, what do you think Jesus said to the parents in this statement?
Jesus said, if you don't become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of God. That's what you are excited or intrigued about. Yes. The simplicity of a child is sometimes what we adults have lost. The genuine desire to be with and learn, to be together with your parents and learn and share what you have discovered, and showing the excitement of every little thing, I think this is what we lose, and we cover it up with worries. We're mostly worried and mostly trying to achieve, constantly achieve more, and of course made for that. We can use our talents to develop and to reach higher, reach deeper, reach new spheres. But a child has this. I find children have this motivation and this desire, but they also want to take you with them, and they many times they can be an example to us of how we can do things jointly, how we are stronger when we are together. That's what I get many times from the children's presence, that they have so much to give, even if they're younger and less experienced than us, but they have in them what we have maybe lost through the path, and maybe by getting sometimes discouraged because of difficulties. A child has always this hope and this look towards the future, and I think that trust and that strength is something that we need to gain back if we want to see the value in the kingdom of God that He has reserved for us.
Dr. Patrizia Hongisto from Helsinki, Finland, thank you so much for enriching our episode, for the guidelines and from your experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and I do think you have a very valuable and important mission in addressing the families and making them aware of what a family can bring to the world and to the happiness of each member.
Dr. Abdul Halim,
thank you for having me.
In this talk show. Actually, this time in Beirut, we are living issues. So after the explosion and the blast that was called like Hiroshima, since it was like similar to the little boy in Hiroshima, and millions of Lebanese from around the world and inside Lebanon have been affected. And then your job is also very important in this time, so you can lift people's spirits up. And of course, people who want to get married are like, having many concerns of getting married. And like people usually go to work, and then after they save some money, they try to have a family. So there are many steps before getting married. So first, please, I want you to tell us about your clinics and what you do before we move on deeply into the subject.
Thank you for having me. And on behalf of CPRM Clinics, I would like to thank you also for this interesting show that you host. The topic that you talk about is a very important topic that meets a lot with the scope of work that we do at CPRM Clinics actually. CPRM Clinics is a psychotherapy and psychoanalysis center based in Beirut and Ain Meraisi. We provide services to all age groups or age ranges, whether as individual therapy or in groups, or for couples and family also, to target the widest population portion. We have right now around 20 psychotherapists that are practicing, and we have many more that are being trained by our mentor and supervisor, Professor Rajat Mathi, to whom I would like to convey my greets. Also, we hold a lot of community-driven activities, which lately have been targeting mostly the unfortunate events that we have all witnessed in this country, namely the Beirut explosion.
Mhm.
So our psychotherapists were on standby over the phone, ready to take phone calls from anyone seeking support, mental support or consultation. They could call us for free, and we can answer their questions, their concerns, and advise them.
That's really good.
Just one more thing. You can to have more information about what we do or about the activities that we have planned for the future. You can visit. People can visit our website cprmclinics.com and our social media.
That's really good for the service you offer, which is, you said, for free. That's really good. Okay, as we were listening to Dr. Patrizia Hongisto from Finland, she has lived the two cultures. And now, which is like a very important decision in your life to make, to get married. So due to the difficulties in Lebanon,
Exactly.
so the study of the plan of getting married is a wide study now. So how would you advise people who wanted just to think of getting married?
So basically, there are no set menus. Again, I will not bring set menus to tell to people in order to advise them to do this or to do that. Things usually happen. People, they meet each other. A couple will meet. They will start planning. Most of them actually, and when they plan, eventually they will have to reach this point where they decide to get married, and there are several factors that come into play over here. So basically, you have to plan on a socio-economical level. You have to plan on many levels, and most importantly, you have to be psychologically ready. and this is the most important part. And I'm gonna skip a little bit forward and tell you about the problems that we see in couples. Maybe this can guide new couples that are planning to getting married in steering the relationship in a more healthy way. So basically, what we observe in clinical settings is that, first of all, difficulties in the marriage, they arise from three things.
Mm-hmm.
The first is expectation or preconception. Expectations and preconceptions, usually it's when the members of the couple or the parties of the couple, they have their own ideas preset in their minds, and they start imagining them in their partners.
You mean they have high expectations or great expectations of the partner?
Not only, it's not high expectations. They expect something out of him. They have images in their mind. They have something in their minds, some images that they have conceived and built throughout their childhood and when growing up, and that they seek in this partner. And when they meet this partner, they think that this partner is the complete representation of these images.
As we say, Mr. Right or Miss Right.
Miss Right.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they start finding out that these ideas that they have built in their minds are not totally there. There are differences. So this is the second factor. So first they have the preset ideas in their mind. Then they find out that there are differences between them and their partners. And here they have to be able to accommodate these differences and understand them and act accordingly. Otherwise, this will cause more difficulties. And third, you have the routine. So after some time, you start falling in the routine, and this routine will cause further difficulties.
Yes, before the routine, and we go deeper into this subject, in the Middle East, the parents interfere so much in the couples. Like, the mother-in-law would interfere so much in her daughter, in her daughter's business. So I want you to advise our viewers who are planning to get married, especially the ladies, how they can make their decision alone in order to choose Mr. Right or to carry on in the marriage process with Mr. Right.
So there is a well-set psychological basis for what you have just said, and I will be a little bit elaborating on this point. So basically, yes, like you have said, parents and family, they try to interfere in the life of couples. And this is expected. It happens here, maybe more, we don't have the statistics to compare to elsewhere, but it happens. This is a human nature. Why do parents interfere? For several reasons, which I'm not going to talk about in details, but mainly because the parents, they find an entry point to interfere, and this entry point is not this entry point is if you want, it's I'm not going to say it's a weakness, because it's not a weakness, but it's an entry point in the personality of the person, whether the lady or the guy who.
Do you think they are dependent on their parents? They are not independent?
They are dependent on their parents, yes, because the parents are very important in one's life, you know. They play an important role. They are the parents are your role models. So
yes, do you think it's a fault of the parents because they don't treat their children to be independent? Because you know, the interference in your business after the age of 16 or 18 makes you become more, you know, I'm in the academic field and I see it in my daily lives, more independent to your parents. You know, we all have to know that our parents will not live with us forever.
Exactly. This is very true. But I don't want to blame any party. It's mutual. The parents would want to interfere in their kids' life, would want to keep them beside them for the longest time period, and the kids also, because of attachment, they would want to keep their parents beside them. And this is where things start to get messed up for a couple. If a couple wants a third party to be there for them, they could always seek their parents' advice. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but they could also seek the advice of someone professional who could be more objective in steering their relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say the couple got married and everything is okay. You know, some people don't even think of that this marriage would lead into having children. Okay. So when they have children, they feel that, oh, their life is messed up now, and then we're going to take care of the baby. So how would you guide them during the first step of marriage and before having the child? What are the preparations to have the child and to give her a healthy life?
Okay. This is a very interesting question, and for this I would want to be inspired a little bit from Jacques Lacan and from the maths he does. So basically, for him, he uses equations to explain psychological phenomenon, and I'm gonna just go a little bit rogue and take one of his equations and tweak it a little bit to meet the point that I'm trying to say. So using simple math. You have 1 plus 1, and for marriage it's not equal to 2, it's equal to 3, because there is always an additional value, you know.
Equal to 3.
So when couples, when two people are set to get married, they have to keep in mind that there is an added value to this marriage. This added value is also an added responsibility. So it's their choice whether to have kids or not, but they have to, now they are creating their own environment, they are creating their own space, and should they decide to have children, they have additional responsibility towards these children that they will conceive.
Yeah, you know, now we go back to the interference. You know, as we saw with Dr. Patrizia, that they have a newborn baby. They have a grandchild. Professor Leif and Professor Patrizia are now busy with the grandchild. I know. You know, we congratulate her for this coming baby, and we ask God to give him a blessed life. So the interference of the grandfather and the grandmother now is so sweet, you know, because
it is very important.
Yes, because the couples feel that they need someone to be with them.
Exactly.
You know, to guide them.
Exactly.
So this kind of interference, what would you comment on this kind of interference?
Not all interferences are negative. So this is what I'm trying to say. There are some interferences that are negative, but also the role of the grandparents is very essential in the kid's life, in the parents' life also. They can be a support. So So this is why the couple has to be aware, and also the grandparents have to be somehow aware of their roles and responsibilities. You cannot go into a relationship carrying on with you your primary relationships, all the burden that you have accumulated unconsciously throughout your childhood. So if you go with this burden on your back, you will definitely transmit part of this burden to your kids. So this is why we advise always couples to seek professional help, because it's gonna be healthy anyways.
You know, Family Awareness TV program hosts many medical doctors and many psychologists. So in each episode we focus on the role of the man and the role of the woman in the family's life. Okay, I want you now to give us guidelines for the father. How can he support his wife while like having the first baby and the second baby and third baby? What is his role exactly in order to support the baby and support his wife at the same time?
Okay. As I told you, I'm not going to give detailed guidelines because there are none.
There are many.
So for each psychotherapy and psychoanalysis takes on the individualities for each and every single case. So there is a general framework that we abide with. There are the theories, but we also take the individualities and the specificities of each case. But there are some things that have to be there. So in raising the children, both parents have to be there. The father the mother has to be there, and importantly also the father has to be there for their kids. And now the trends are the modern trends in raising kids is to allow your kids to express. So parents, whether father or mother, they have to be there for their kids and allow them to express themselves. And they have to be there to support them. And the most important thing is to allow your children to talk. This has been proven by many scientists that came along. And there is also a specialty called child psychoanalysis that was set by Françoise Dolto and Melanie Klein. So psychotherapy and psychoanalysis, more importantly, they work for children. Of course, the way we approach children is going to be different than approaching an adult, but they work for them. And these approaches, they advise that the parents should be there for their kids, not physically only present, but also mentally. And they have to be supportive. They have to allow their kids to express. But I also want to highlight something very, very important that's happening nowadays, because in advancement that's happening and in our modern society, people are mistakenly mixing freedom of expression with the tear down of all limits. So they are teaching their kids to express to an extent that they may cross their limits, and this is very unhealthy. So kids, they have to be allowed to talk. They have to be allowed to grow up properly, to express themselves, to know that they are there, they are present, and at the same time they should understand that there are limits that they cannot cross. And this is where the mother has to play a role, and more importantly the father, who is the separator. When a kid is born, it's the father who separates the kid from his mother. He tells you, no, she's your mother, because you know the Oedipal complex. It's when the kid starts to look at his mother as if she is his wife, his object of love.
Yes.
And it is when the father comes in and tells the kid, no, this is your mother, you love her, but you later on will get married to someone else who might resemble your mother.
Okay. So from the beginning, when they have the baby between their arms, so they have to start showing the love for each other's in the front of that baby, so the baby would feel the love of the mother and the father at the same time, so you can be a united family. This is what you meant, right?
Not only show the love, at 3 or 4 years you will start noticing that if the kid if the kid will reach the Oedipal stage, he will start looking at his mother. The mother will always be the object of love for the kid, but he will start looking at his mother as if she's the one he's gonna get married to, etc. So the kid has to understand that he can love his mother, but also that the mother is the father's wife. And this should be done very smoothly, because if it's done in a very provocative or in a very abrupt way, it will also cause.
How much do you think it's essential, the father's role in the house?
It is very important.
Yeah.
It is very
What
important.
are the disadvantages of like having the father always working or the mother always working? Because you know we live in Lebanon, the mother and the father always work and they leave their child with the helper.
With the helper. This may have repercussions if the parents do not deal with this issue properly. So basically, the parents, they can go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing is moderation. The best thing that we in life is moderation. You can go to work. You don't have to shut down everything in your life and keep your focus on your kid, because this is also unhealthy. This will cause attachment. So it's good also that the parents would go to work and come back, and that they give this space to their children. But at the same time, they should give time to their children.
Yes, amazing. Dr. Abdul Halim Shahadi, psychotherapist, I would love you to give us a general advice, especially for the couples who are approaching the step of marriage at this difficult times in Lebanon.
Beside the psychological things that they need to cater or factor in their decision and planning, there are unfortunate circumstances that we are all living in this country and that are beyond the control of any of us. So planning is going to be rendered more difficult for this couple in Lebanon. Couples, the choice that they make has its internal roots. Okay, so they have to be aware of this internal root and not be too much attached to these preconceptions that they have, or to these expectations that they have. They should have expectations. Everyone has expectations, and we work according to these expectations. But they should also, as I said in the beginning, be able to cherish the differences between the couples, between the members of the couple, and accept them. And they should be able to accept the other in their ups and downs, and to be able to handle the pain that will arise out of the difficulties. But also, they should also keep in mind that there are happy times in the relationship that they should never forget.
Thank you so much for being with us,
having me.
Dr. Abdul Halim Shahadi from CPRM Clinics.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for your good work at these times in Beirut.
Thank you
for being with us, and be aware that marriage is a very vital step in your lives. So study it well before you approach this step. Thank you so much.